Early childhood education has roots that reach far back into history, with many earnest practitioners seeking to discover the universal laws of child development. With such a rich past, educational theorists have often had imposing views and programs they proposed. Froebel and Montessori are landmark educators whose work has had a remarkable and lasting impact on the field. Much of early childhood education revolves around the concept of play. Plato suggested the use of play in education as a form of anticipatory socialization, where a child's play was to be directed toward their life's aim. Quintilian encouraged parents to carefully select proper companions who could help establish early educational patterns. Locke was interested in harnessing play for educational aims. Rousseau believed that children learned best when it was pleasurable, when children weren't even aware of the learning going on. Pestalozzi believed that the child's beginning years of life are the most important to their development. Owen conceived of infant schools, believing that children should be placed in school as early as possible to escape bad habit-forming family surroundings. The German word kindergarten is widely recognized and understood, but the name of the man who coined the term, ultimately redefining early education, has largely been forgotten. Almost 180 years ago, Friedrich Froebel radically asserted that play was where children learned best in an environment where they could learn using their hands. Froebel, the fifth child in his family, was born April 21, 1782 in Germany. His mother died when he was only 9 months old. Froebel's father was a busy Lutheran pastor who was neglectful of his children. When he was 10 years old, Froebel's uncle took over care of him and provided Froebel with a home and schooling. At the age of 15, Froebel was apprenticed to a forester. It was while in the forests of Germany that Froebel grew a deep-seated love for nature and saw the interconnectedness in what he believed to be God's universe. Froebel acquired a rich knowledge of plants, learned to observe and investigate like a scientist, while also studying mathematics and language. After a 2-year forester apprenticeship, Froebel enrolled in the university in Jena, where he was unsuccessful. Over the next several years, Froebel went from job to job, spending time as an architect's assistant before ending up with a teaching position. The school where Froebel taught was a model Pestalozzi school. It was here that Froebel found his true calling, that of being a teacher. At the age of 24, Froebel moved to Switzerland to study with Pestalozzi. It was Pestalozzi who first developed educational concepts like teacher training and curriculum innovations like group work, field trips, grade levels, ability grouping, and allowing for individual differences in education. Pestalozzi's educational theory had profound influence on Froebel. Froebel believed Pestalozzi's respect for the dignity of children and the creation of a learning environment of emotional security were highly significant educational elements that he wanted to incorporate in his own teaching. He was also intrigued by Pestalozzi's form, number, and name lessons, which would form a basis for his later design of the kindergarten gifts. It was during the high tide of German idealism that Froebel developed his educational philosophy. In his Education of a Man, he expressed his idealistic themes. All existence originates in and with God. Humans possess an inherent spiritual essence that is the vitalizing force that causes development, and all beings and ideas are interconnected parts of a grand, ordered, and systematic universe. Froebel believed that at birth each child has an internal essence, life force, that seeks to be externalized through self-play, that child development follows the doctrine of preformation, the unfolding of that which was present latently in the individual. It is from the philosophical foundation that Froebel developed kindergarten, a garden for and of children. Froebel's kindergarten consists of 3 essential parts: creative play with his gifts and occupations, singing and dancing for healthy activity, and observing nurturing plants in a garden for stimulating awareness of the natural world. The gifts that Froebel created were the first educational toys and are the root of all today's building toys. Over time, Froebel's concept of kindergarten grows, with many of his followers spreading the philosophy across Europe to places outside of Germany, including England, France, Italy, and the Netherlands. It even caught the attention of the first U.S. Commissioner of Education, Henry Barnard, who writes of Froebel's innovative ideas in his Common School Journal. In the United States in 1816, Elizabeth Palmer Peabody establishes a kindergarten in Boston. Inspired by transcendentalism, an American version of idealism, Peabody was involved in early childhood education. She toured Europe to gain more insight into its practice, eventually translating several of Froebel's books into English and creating schools to train kindergarten teachers. Susan Elizabeth Blow opens the first successful public kindergarten in St. Louis in 1873. She wrote many pieces supporting, advocating, and educating others about Froebel's work. Blow also sought to translate Froebel's kindergarten concepts into methods that could be used in the U.S., not wanting her translations to dilute or change the symbolic philosophy that was foundational to his work. Another impactful early childhood educator was Marie Montessori. She was an Italian physician, educator, and innovator acclaimed for her educational method that builds on the way children naturally learn. Marie Montessori was a pioneer in the field quite ahead of her time, recognizing that a child's development required an educational framework to address the whole child. Maria Montessori was born in 1870 in Italy. When she was only 10 years old, a seriously ill Maria told her mother, "Do not worry, mother, I cannot die. I have too much to do." With such a strong will, it's not surprising that her achievements were so extraordinary. Montessori began by becoming the first female doctor in Italy, but today is known worldwide for her work with young children. Montessori began working with intellectually deficient children as a doctor. Although the children had been dismissed by both teachers and doctors as unteachable, she viewed their disabilities as a failure of teaching methodology rather than a medical problem. This work inspired Montessori to undertake a new challenge, to understand how children in ordinary classrooms learn. Montessori believes that teachers should carefully observe children so they can create respectful, child-centered classrooms that celebrate the unique nature of each child. The Montessori method develops children's knowledge and skills through prescribed sets of materials and physical exercises. These materials arouse interest, and the interest motivates children to learn. Her breakthrough in education came when she realized that the way to teach a skill is not to have a child try something over and over, but to prepare the child to learn the skills by teaching the movements and actions necessary to perform them. Her methods are still practiced worldwide, based on Montessori's belief that early childhood education is the key to the betterment of society.